Hi everybody, welcome to Live. And if you saw the video earlier, then our topic today is all about independence. Yesterday was Independence Day. We kind of thought that would be a good topic.
Yeah, for sure.
Independence on the whole, like independence, our independence, and being truly who you are, independent of outside influences and obviously other people's ideas of who you should be. And start by I think the first place to go with this is to kind of write down, what are your strengths? Like, what strengths do you see in yourself?
Right.
Write down those strengths. After you've made a list of your strengths, then write what you believe to be your weaknesses. But understand that your weaknesses are only there because you've allowed that to be an issue or an emotion in your life that you don't feel completely validated in your feelings. And that weakness might be never being able to say no, which we've covered.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, then let that go and put a line through it and start crossing out. Put a circle and cross out this list of what you believe to be your weaknesses and really focus on your strengths. Weaknesses are mind-made. They come from us. They come from inside. And remember that every down has an upside. Every weakness has a strength. And the more you understand that wherever you are, you can jump to the other side of the railroad in no time at all.
Yeah.
Or be on the other side of that fence. I meant to say fence. I don't know where I got railroad.
The tracks.
Yeah, being on the other side of the, track. Who are you really? Like, who am I? Who am I without what this one thinks or that one thinks or that one said or this one believes? And like, who am I? Independently of all these outside things. Wayne Dyer put it so beautifully when he said, what other people think of you or are saying about you is none of your business because it's coming from them. So it's really time for you to focus on your strengths and be that independent person. Independent work, how you live, your health choices, where you find joy in your life, even if it's not something that somebody else likes or wants to do. How many people just keep their mouth quiet because really wanting to be independent, they don't want to get involved in a conflict with somebody. We don't want to have to explain ourselves to anyone. Hi, Jean. And really, it just sets off a domino effect. And I think that once you truly feel your independence and that you do follow, your beliefs and what you feel is right for you, it just strengthens you a little more, and it simply propels you even more to be more independent and really find like your joy and happiness in life. Like, it's huge.
And you have to know what that means to you. It took me forever. Every time we bring up a topic, I think about it. It took me a long time to do it because I didn't know what it even meant at the time.
Right.
To like be independent or, all the different things. When it comes up, you have to really know what does that even mean to you in your life.
Right.
And also to not judge or like look at other people. I guess we use that for a little bit of a idea, but then
you think it's like an automatic response because we're so conditioned.
Yeah,
the minute
totally
something comes up, we're like, oh my God, what's this one going to think? That one going to think? How's that one going to respond?
Right.
But, and like you're saying,
just to like stop it and be like, nope, this is how I feel about it. And really, as silly as it might feel in the beginning, to have the conversation with yourself, and I'm telling you, now I do 5 miles a day, And I use that, good mile or two for the introspection of myself. Like,
Right.
how did I feel about this? Or like, what did I want to do with that? And even what I want to learn about in that day, or
Yes.
what I'm trying to work on, I actually use some of that time. I look it up on YouTube. I let it play while I'm walking.
Right,
just
right.
kind of like, and then I
So many
decide how I
resources
feel
out
about
there.
that. Yeah, and then sometimes I'm like, it just doesn't resonate with me even after I thought it would, and I just turn it off. Like, no, that's not even my approach or whatever. So there's a lot of things, and it all gets back to getting quiet with yourself and being comfortable in your own skin.
Absolutely.
To know what you want in your life.
Sometimes we even just allow a look from someone
Totally.
to like totally throw us off our balance.
Yeah.
And why?
Yeah.
That was their feeling, not ours.
Yeah.
Um,
And I, like, on a regular basis, I was on I took Facebook and Messenger off my phone for like 5 days over the weekend, because enough already. I don't care what everybody's got, like, sometimes it's just too much. So, like, shut it down, because it was, like, bothering me, and I was like, that's not real life. This
I don't
is
get
not
on that
real
much.
life.
Like, I don't know about like checking in and
Yeah. I do.
checking your
You know I do.
status and getting notification. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I would absolutely.
Some of it's just too
It's
much.
not in my world.
Yeah.
I'm not
Or
that
people are very negative, too, and
savvy.
I don't want to be
Reading
in that
negative things
realm
always
either.
makes me not want to be
Yeah,
like on there.
yeah. I've gone off Facebook, I think, this year. At
I don't
least
mean
5 or
negative
6
like karma,
times.
because karma's only negative to the person that's getting it. So
Right. Wow.
it's coming from my spiritual soul.
Yes.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
it's like good to like unplug from whatever it is that distracts you, or like when you start getting a sense of like, that's not how I feel about things, and kind of like shut it down.
Right, be your natural you.
But if
Go
people
take
don't know
a
how to
walk
do that.
somewhere and leave your phone somewhere. Like I left my phone upstairs all day yesterday.
I left mine in my purse last night too.
You know, my girls were at the beach, my sons were there, the baby was there, we had chicken. God, it was great. I mean, like, it was just a nice day, and I really didn't have my phone with me. You know, so back to being independent, you know, looking for approval from others in everything we do takes away so much of our independence,
Yeah.
but it actually guides you to live your life always looking for approval, validation from outside here, when all you really need to do to be validated is to be able to feel peace in here. And I was playing today when I was writing my notes, because I do write a lot of notes.
I do none. I just come.
You know, you got to march to your own drummer. I've always been accused of marching to my own drummer. I got to write stuff down there. I can't remember. Okay. You got to march to your own drummer. And if other people don't like it, then let them find their own beat and move away. Don't worry about being attached emotionally to the outcome of things. Step back. Be in the moment of what you're doing, be in the moment of what you're trying to manifest, and gosh, use manifestation. Use the tools of manifesting. Visualize, feel it, see it happening. Use this tool. It's the most powerful tool you will ever have. So anyway, while I was writing down some things, listen to your inner voice. All right, so look at this. Independent. Independent. You're dependent on in here. What's coming through from in here? Because whatever, everybody's entitled to whatever their beliefs are. I truly have been drawn and guided to believe in my life that the inner guidance that we get is truly coming from a soul place, our connection to spirit, the God within us. And everybody can believe what they want, but I've had so many validations of this. And the more I trust it, the more I listen to it, I swear, the better my life gets. Do I get everything I want? No, I don't get everything I want. But you know what? I'm happy and very content with what I have. Hey, Kath. And just feeling that peace 90% of the time is so worth it to me. You know, if you're working, you're supporting yourself, you're making healthy choices, you're exercising, you're doing all the things you need to do for you. That's what the most important thing is, because that's when you really have the time in that quiet to really find out who you are, separate from other people's everything, and independence. Start being dependent.
And along with that, if you're working on all of those things, like what you just said, then you're working to be healthy, like you feel healthy and feel happy. Those are what we talk about too, about having the feeling.
Yeah, right? The feeling is the most important thing, because that's the vibration that you send out to bring back what you want.
Yeah, when Megan was going to her prom, she had all these like thoughts about what it was going to be, and then she was like, I think I'm going to be a little disappointed, and I was like, is that where you're trying to head with this?
Right.
You know, I said, let go of the expectation, like the micromanaging, the controlling of what it's going to be.
Absolutely.
Know that you've done all this prep, you look amazing, you're beautiful and everything else, and that you're going to have a great time there.
Right.
Those are the things that keep in the parameters. And, you know, you got a fancy dress, you got, you know, all the things lining up. But the end result was that you were going to have a great time. And she did.
Absolutely.
Right? But if you start going in saying, I don't think I'm going to have what I want, or, you know, like you have like a negative spin on it, that's what's going to happen. So you got to work to be in the joy, or be into whatever it is that you're trying to get to, healthy or whatever else.
And really know the difference between ego, which is always going to lead you down the wrong path, or your spirit self guiding you. And it's really a simple thing to do if you take the time, even one day today, to trust in this inner guidance, in being independent.
When we talk about ego, we're not talking like you're being proud about yourself, right?
Right. Well, that's
like, I don't know that everybody knows what that interpretation of ego is. You know what I mean?
Well,
because we talk about like being spiritual or being ego based, and when you're, sometimes I think it gets confused with like being proud.
I think ego is the devil's advocate in your brain, sort of, for lack of a better explanation.
Yeah.
But it's like that doubting Thomas in your head, and then you can't do that when you want to do. Yeah, when you want to do something.
Yeah.
And when you really,
I think it's judgment too, and
right, when you learn that there's nothing you can't come back from, any trauma, anything that has set you back a little bit in your life, that's the time to really dig in your heels and go, no more of this. If I want to change my life and I want to be independent, then these are the steps I need to take, and this is what I need to get there. There's always a way to get to where you want to be and where you're going. Hey, so, you know, definitely go within and stop depending so much on out here, and finding your independence as early as you can. I don't think there's anything more important than that.
And it's never too late to find your independence either. That's the other thing.
So happy.
We have a studio audience now. Hi, guys.
Hi, Gracie and Isabella's here. I'm so glad you're joining us with Cash. In talking about this, also, maybe when you're writing that list of your strengths and weaknesses, maybe go one more column and realize where those weaknesses came from. You know, we're only a product of the product of the product of the product. So think about where you came from, your parents, what their values and things were, their characteristics and beliefs, and then look at their parents.
Yeah.
Now you've got 2 sides, 4 sides. Now you've got, look at their parents, and on and on and on and on and on.
And the differences in the time periods of where all that stuff came from.
Right. And with each generation, there were things that were passed on, there were things that were dropped.
Yeah.
And there's a place, my dad used to use the expression, stop the bleeding, or even a train stops. And it really simply means there's no time in your life or no place in your life where you can't change the course of your life by changing your mind, your thoughts, your beliefs, and your actions. Even I can remember back as young as I can remember, my mother always saying to me, oh my God, you really dance to your own drum. You don't listen to anybody. But I really did. I was listening to In Here. Did it get me in trouble? Yeah. But in my head, before I did it, I would go, oh, they get mad, they'll get glad.
Yeah.
You know, that getting yelled at was only for a short, and as long as I wasn't hurting somebody. Okay, as long as I wasn't hurting somebody. But being very adventurous, mischievous, all kinds of things that I can, I'm sure, remember, there's a spider coming down from the ceiling. Okay, I'm definitely afraid of spiders.
That's
Sorry about
away.
that little
It's far
thing.
away.
Okay, it's far away. So, go back and think, where did these weaknesses or these fears or these outside thoughts come from? And then look at the source and then go, well, this came from my grandmother. How was she raised? What was her life like? What brought her to think that way? You're not living that way. Because I always say to people when they come in and they go, oh, my mother, my aunt, all these people had this illness. I go, you know what? Unless you eat, think, sleep, and live exactly like they do, then you're not going to wind up with the same thing unless you're promoting it, feeling it, and putting it out there. And then you definitely manifest.
That's what they say, yeah.
What
like
you're
with
thinking
breast
about.
cancer and all those different things. You hear that all the time, that they have the gene or the whatever. And
Yes.
man, as much as you can, get your head out of there.
Definitely, because all of that media hype about doing things, you know, out of fear. I mean,
Yeah.
we're really a fear-based
Yeah.
culture, and that fear you just get on that fear train, and sometimes people just can't turn back from it.
Yeah. I know that my mom would say to me, you know, about my grades, because I was never really a grade student, and she was like, you're not going to get through life on your smile. I'm like, contraire, mon frere, I'm a realtor. That's part of what I do is smile, right? And here we are,
That's right.
smiling again.
That's
So, you know, those are all just, the other thing was like, what would the neighbors think? And all those kind of things are those preconditioned ideas. And those are all the things that you need to get independent from,
right.
right?
Exactly.
Just like it's kind of my entire adult life has been spent doing everything the opposite of what I already knew, because those things weren't working. And that's like the definition of an insanity, is to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result.
Right.
So I never do the same
We
thing.
all
I don't
know
even
that
drive
law.
the same way. I will come one way and I will leave another.
That's
all
right.
the time.
And we all know that. How about when we were kids and we used to play follow the leader, and you had to do whatever that person in the front did, or you were wrong, you were bad, you were whatever. A little bit of that still stays with us now. Uh-oh, they're all going this way. I better do this. I was the one going the other
Yeah, me too.
direction.
Especially in my adult life. Totally different way.
Isn't there a book called The Path Less Traveled?
Yeah.
Okay, and it's that independent spiritual path.
Yeah.
Because we don't learn, even the people that go to whatever church you go to, there's a path that you're asked to follow, but it's not your spiritual path. It's the path that they say is right
Drummed
for
into
you.
you.
And I'm not saying don't go to church. I'm not getting like religious or anything. I'm just saying there are some things in church that resonate with you, whatever denomination you are.
Yeah.
There are things that resonate with you. And don't you always go on Sunday and go, wow, I really needed to hear that? We all need to hear that, but we need to learn to apply all of this scripture to our daily lives and how it works for us and how it melds into our lives.
And look for it more than Sundays. I mean, if you can really tune into your independence,
That's right.
you can hear it more often and make it a practice to ask for that message. Now your bug's coming over here.
I know, it's like a fruit fly or something. What is going? I'm looking up spiders, fruit flies.
Fruit
But that's
flies.
a spider in the end that's walking somewhere.
But if you
I'm
make
like
a
up on my
practice of
chair
that,
here.
you can get your message every day instead of just on Sunday
Yes.
or what have you. So I mean, that's part of my daily practice now is to, even when I go on, sometimes I don't know what it is that I want to learn when I'm going through the farm park walking. And I'll go on YouTube like it's tarot basically. I'm like, okay, what's the message of the day? And
That's
something
right.
will pop up. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll learn about it.
Because whatever the message is,
Yeah, you're gonna find it.
somehow you get what you need.
Mine too, actually.
You get what you need, and
Yeah.
that's pretty much. But it has a lot to do with you really feeling your independence and detaching from everybody else's influence, everybody else's, not necessarily everybody's influence, but everybody else's thoughts, and trying to
Their
mold.
stuff.
Stop following the crowd. Do what you need to do. Learn that if you don't want to do something, maybe the other person's not going to be happy that you don't want to do it too. But why should you make yourself miserable for, an hour or a day? Like, think about it. Well, I only did it to please them because I didn't want them to be upset. So you wound up for a whole day being miserable doing something you didn't want to do because you didn't want somebody else that didn't even maybe have the courtesy of saying, you want to do this too, or just, I want to do this, we're doing this.
Yeah.
We get ourselves into situations, and because of all of this old programming that keeps us from being independent, kicks in, and we wind up doing things we don't want to do.
Yeah.
And that's not so independent. And there's really nothing wrong with being that way. And sometimes people go, well, you're so selfish. No, you're caring for yourself. Like, nobody else is going to care for you but you. And if you don't take that time to do it, guess what? That's on you. Mm-hmm. If you're not living your natural you, your authentic self, or your life the way you want to live it, that's entirely up to you. That is on.
And that is where you get stuck. That is like when people say, oh, I feel so stuck. I know this because I was there. I've been there numerous times. And so you don't realize it until you do realize it.
Right.
And then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute. And then you have multiple wait a minutes. And now I just do it on a regular basis. Like, now I'm not going to do that.
And you also can't rely on excuses for why you don't do
It's
things
true.
and become independent. You can't do excuses. If you're in a job that you're not making enough money and the potential's there,
Yeah.
that's on you.
But you have to
And
work on probably yourself because all of that, letting that happen, takes you down the road of like your esteem takes hits and like all this stuff starts happening. But the moment you realize that this isn't the way you want to be anymore, that's when your new journey begins and you start figuring out how to start listening, how to move yourself. I'm constantly, that is probably one of my biggest journeys just in life is like, okay, wait, I don't want it to be like that. And then I'll change the course. And then it's a whole new lesson. It gets uncomfortable, then it gets fun. And you just have to figure out what it is you want and
Right.
how to get there. And there's all these tools, including us, on how to get there. You
Right.
know, and know that other people have gone before you. Could be a little scary sometimes, but the fun is in the journey. That's what we keep hearing, right?
Yes,
it's
it
the
is.
journey, not the destination.
Yeah, and really, like, things, if you notice and if you've been following along and applying and implementing some of the things, even some of the things that we've been telling you, you should be at a pretty good place by now, because I know that we got there.
Yeah.
We believe everything that we're telling you. We live and do everything we're telling you. Do we sway a little bit sometimes? Well, we are human beings. We're spirits having a human experience, no doubt. Mm-hmm. But I think the ego, because you asked this earlier, now
Yeah.
I'm thinking about it, ego is part of what comes with being human.
Yeah.
Spirit, and when you feel the flow of things and your life kind of going where you want it to be, then you know you're aligned with spirit and not ego. You're being guided, not forced because of an old belief and
Well, not only
fear.
that,
Fear.
with ego, it kind of like, so when you do try something new, it can be painful. And so your ego is there so that you don't fail, right? Or like, so you don't feel pain, not fail. But it's like actually essentially there to protect you, but it also stops you because we're in the middle of evolving. And so it doesn't want you to go any further than what you already know. And we talk about it like it sounds detached, but this is like all of your inner knowing system. So that's the, you know, you can do it, or you better not, or you can do it, you know, and that's the inner tug that you have in yourself is part of that, the ego driven. If you live that way where you constantly like, oh, I better not, oh, that might be scary or whatever, that's the ego talking. And then, you know, your higher power wants you to do it, or you wouldn't even have the idea. Think of that, right? You're inspired to do whatever it is you're going to do next. And that's an inspiration. And then your ego is like, oh, I better not do that. Or, you know, you might get hurt.
Yeah, definitely. It reminds me of the story of the two wolves. And I don't have it in front of me to read it to you, but basically here's the story of the two wolves. There are two wolves that live inside of us. One of them is greed, anger, fear, resentment, hatred, shame, guilt. And the other one is joy, love, prosperity, gratitude, harmony. And it's an old Native American actual prayer quote. And the young Indian asks the older Indian which wolf survives. And he says, the one that you feed. Oh. So think about this.
I do remember that.
Whichever wolf you feed, that's the one you're going to come out with. And that's who's going to win, and that's the life you're going to lead. So if you want to lead an independent life and be free of fear and all these other things and other people's influence, then start today. Why put off till tomorrow? And it's a simple thing to do. Independence. Remember this. Independence. You're depending on what you're hearing in here, because God speaks through us, around us, spirit. And I don't know about you, but that's the guide I want. So
definitely, I'm working on something like I usually am. And so this morning I was having a discussion about it, and the person says back to me, well, you know, it's all about mindfulness. And I know you know that, but just thought, you know, I should say it to you again in this scenario. And I was like, oh. Well, I thought the same thing. And the other day I was in the grocery store and saw this magazine about mindfulness and like really diving deeper into it, because I know about it. And sometimes even because we're talking about it, I think I know more than I think I know. So I don't actually always do it. I don't always take the mindful route.
You do know it, just like everybody knows.
But I
it's
don't
just a matter of remembering.
It's about practicing it too, and letting yourself be okay about it. So while Phyllis and I were just talking about it, Phyllis was like, oh, I saw that at Whole Foods. I was like, yeah. So I opened to the back page just before we got started, and there's mindful wisdom. The willingness to accept responsibility for one's own life is the source from which self-respect springs. So like self-respect and, you know, your inner independence way. There's just like so many great quotes about being what we were just about talking. Nothing can bring you peace but yourself.
There you go.
Right? So there was a lot of like really good
in one sentence. Even if you say that to yourself all day today, nothing can bring you peace but yourself. Mm-hmm. Nothing can bring you love but yourself. Nothing can bring you anything but you. So seek it, get it.
Yeah.
However you got to do it. I hope this was helpful. I hope that what we're bringing you is helping you, and we really appreciate those of you that are watching and those of you that come in person to see us, because we love seeing you.
And after celebrating Independence Day, we are grateful for all the people out there who help us keep our independence also. We're very blessed to live here in the United States and have such a great place.
To all of the men and women who served and serve and have served and continue to serve.
Yes.
We love you and we're grateful and thank you.
Thank you. Have a great week.
See ya. Have a good week.